Factor this polynomial. Okay, here we go. What number do these share in common? Well, 3 does go into 6. Okay, so the biggest number that they share in common is 3. And this has an A and this has a B and this just has an A. So they share an A in common. You have 2 terms to start with. So you have 2 terms that you fill in the blanks for. Bring down your sign. 3 times what gives you 6? That'd be 2. You need an A and a B. 3A times what gives you 3A? And that would be 1. So there's your solution. Next one, look for the greatest number they share in common. The greatest number they share in common of 5, 10, and 20 would be a 5. This has x times x times x. This has x times x, and this is x. So they share an x in common. You have 3 terms that you have to fill in. 5 times what gives you 5? That would be a 1. X times x to the second is x to the third. 5 times what gives you 10? That would be 2. X times x gives you x to the second. 5 times what gives you 20? That's 4. And you already have the x, so you don't need it. This is factored version. My next example, I have a 2 and a 3. They do not share anything in common, neither do the x and the y. So this is already considered to be factored, or you could write prime, meaning can't be factored. The next one, what number do they share in common? Well, I know 8 doesn't go into 12. The next biggest number that goes into 8 is 4. 4 does go into each one of those, so that is the greatest number they share in common. This is x times x times x times x. And this is just x times x times x, and this is x. So they share an x in common. I have to fill in 3 blanks. 4 times what gives me 20? That's 5. X times x to the third is x to the fourth. 4 times what gives me 12? That's 3. X times x squared is x cubed. 4 times 2 gives me 8. The x carries through. This is the factored version. Last one. Why don't you pause this, try it on your own, and see if you can come up with the answer. Alright, so now you should have paused it. You've got 2, 4, and 6. 2 is the greatest number they share in common. They each have at least c squared in them, so they share a c squared in common. You needed to fill in 3 terms. 2 times 1 gives you this. I'm not writing the 1. C squared times c squared gives you c to the fourth. 2 times 2 is 4. C squared times c is c cubed. 2 times 3 is 6, and the c squared is already there. This is the end of factoring the greatest common factor.